So many composers, including myself, will often struggle with taking what's in our head and translating that into a real piece of music. How do you actually develop the idea into something tangible? I think that's such a hard question to answer because so much of the creative process is going to be different for everybody. Like, I don't think I've actually tried to break down my process before. Usually it's, I feel something, I'm in a flow, and it just develops. But with that said, I figured, let me record this video, let me show you just maybe one approach as to how I might shape and develop an idea into something that is real. And what I've noticed is that a lot of this process can be broken down into like 3 different entry points. You might come up with an idea that is very melody focused, right? That is good when you're trying to write a theme. And the thing about melody writing is, I think deep down, we're always searching for like some sort of like groundbreaking melody. And I just don't think you get that in isolation. I think what makes melodies great is when you take a motif and can adapt that across different styles, different arrangements, and that is what makes a melody really stick. It's not necessarily the melody itself. I think it's great to come up with a motif to start, but you know, that's just one point of entry. I think the next point of entry is how you approach something harmonically. Are you developing some sort of like progression? What's hard about this, especially with writing to picture, writing for an orchestra, it's easy to get caught up in that 4-chord loop or just some sort of cycle. Someone like me, I typically write with block chords and like a right hand melody because that's the extent of piano playing that I can do. So I find when I just do these block chords, it's easy to latch on to that and it's really hard to break out of. It's almost like I'm trying to find a melody within the chords. And so what I usually do if I'm approaching it with harmony first, I often try to just bounce around. I like to explore different sounds, how things sound from one chord to the next, even if it, you know, technically breaks music theory rules. And as someone that had music theory drilled in, it's really hard to break out of that. There's a lot of like limiting beliefs with the chord structure and progression that I find myself getting stuck in. But the benefit of focusing on some sort of progression is that you also allow yourself to intentionally break away. If you are aware of the trap that you're in, I think you're gonna do a really good job at breaking out of it. And then the third point of entry is just focusing on something rhythmically or texturally. You know, you're just creating a palette of sound for the music that you want to write. And I think this is probably the approach I take most often. Usually I might come up with some sort of ostinato on the piano, and then I find myself building from there. The problem with this approach is that it can be really hard to, again, break out of a loop. So if you have an ostinato going and that rhythmically drives the idea, you know, no melody yet, not really a chord progression yet, it's just this thing that you kind of play around with on the piano, or at least that's what I do. It can be really hard to break away from that. And I guess technically there's a 4th entry point, and that's just starting with an instrument, a sample, a synth, and getting inspired from that sound. But again, I think that kind of then falls under melody writing, harmonic writing, creating just that palette of sound. Now, I think what's going to be hard about this video is that a lot of it is going to be unplanned. Like, for example, I've already recorded a segment of me just capturing the idea. That way I didn't forget it, but I didn't want to lose that process either. I wanted that to be seen. So I have this theme. I literally no plan for this right now. I was thinking of something emotional, something expansive, something that like almost was like yearning, you know? So I came up with like this kind of like ostinato, and then like you could do And that's all I got. I also had this like other idea I came up with yesterday that I was going to use as the foundation. I woke up and I'm not 100% sold on it. I think it could probably be used somewhere else. It doesn't feel like the piece I want to write, or at least like the little something I want to write. Right? That's D, F, kind of like a. Oh, I could have just gone to C. Yeah, all right. I really like that implied B, but no third, add an A. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Ooh. That might sound weird. I'm not totally convinced by that B. Maybe the Austin. Hold on. Let me give myself a bass note. Let's start on a D. There we go. You know what? I might go back to the D. That way I can kind of repeat. Yep, yep. Yep, okay, that's a simple idea. I'm gonna stop for now because I just wanted to get this idea out. I just wanted to make sure I got this little development phase in the video and I didn't want to lose that. So this is that initial idea that I came up with. This was definitely more rhythmically focused. I was very, very influenced by like this ostinato that I came up with. So let's just take a listen. So there's something else that I added as well. The way I see myself going through this process is I'll start with an ostinato. I will find a melody in there, and that's that. And then there was kind of like this counter line. And that's something that I can kind of see, like maybe the woodwinds, maybe a French horn. It depends. But now what I'm noticing is that this is all happening a lot vertically. The idea now is to spread it out, not just automatically throw everything all at once. Now, what I really like about this approach is that for me, the piano is kind of my go-to instrument. I'm not trying to overthink things. I'm giving myself a lot of freedom to just explore. It's also why I'm okay with adding a lot of things stacking on top of one another right now. This is also a stage where I'm not fully committed to anything. I am just exploring. And even if I do want to maybe expand a little bit more from piano, I'm not saying you have to do an entire piano sketch of your entire piece before you can orchestrate, but I think just sticking to a single instrument that allows you to explore ideas and variations of ideas is going to serve you better in the long run than if you just like blank score, go directly to a flute, and then go directly to an oboe. I think you need to give yourself some space, some wiggle room to get lost and just feel the creative flow. Then I think once you have just something simple written out, now is the time to start expanding on that. Now what I really want to do is I almost want to validate the idea. Now the point of this is not to start orchestrating right away. I still want to develop structure. I want to focus not just vertically but horizontally now. I can do that with the piano, and I'm probably still gonna go back to the piano to explore. But for something that I know, like an ostinato that will probably go to the strings, I almost want to hear it in the strings as I'm working with this. Just so you know, this is the Musio template that I offer for free. It's very, very simple. So I have a sketching folder, which is not technically part of like the orchestra. I have like the individual instruments set up here, but I have just like a string ensemble. Gonna get rid of all that. I almost want to right, and then da 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 da. Yeah. Now it almost sounds like what if I went to 125? Yeah. So the thing with the ostinato is now that I'm imagining this, I don't want to start just with this. You know, like I'm not going to start the piece just like right out of the gate. You know, I feel like we have to earn it, especially with the strings. And then like if this were to repeat, copy, give it to the high strings. And again, because this is a string ensemble, this is not going to be realistic. That's not going to be the sound of just violin 1 and violin 2. I'm already liking this a lot. Yeah. All right, just that alone makes it feel more dramatic, bigger. I'm kind of sad because like I don't want this, but I don't want to get rid of it. I started a new project within an old project. I thought I was working with this. I guess I could like just put it all the way off. And let's bring you all the way to like measure 3. Nope. Let's bring you all the way to like measure 25. That way I have some space to work. Maybe you start off with like slow evolving textures, things like that. We're not jumping right into that ostinato. Right? I don't even know. Let me turn off the click, but I feel like that. Yeah, see, like something that can evolve. I hope that made sense. Like I was trying to grow, maybe expand from the cello, maybe bring it in to the violins or the violas, maybe. And what I like about that is that it doesn't do the normal. Like part of me is like, oh, let's just give this directly to basses and the cellos and like start orchestrating. I feel like with something like this where you're exploring, your mind is always shifting. You're not just like, okay, I have now this, now I can officially move on to that. You are always adjusting, getting inspired by something else. The sound of the ensemble definitely reignited something. If I wanted, I could start orchestrating. I feel comfortable enough with this idea, but I feel like there still is a structure that is missing. Like right now we have this like slower, less rhythmically intense moment that I think can grow and evolve. And I think it can then lead into the ostinato. Almost. I got the wrong note here. This is also where I want to experiment with a little bit of modulation, expression, breathe some life into it. When I recorded this, I did not have the click on, so this is very out of time. I don't like that I went up that high. I think I'm essentially just repeating the trumpet, right? And the problem with strings is you can hear clearly where it goes from cello to like viola. lines underneath. I don't necessarily want the full thing. What if we just kind of did like a shortened version of it? So everything from here on, trim. So where do you start? You start there. I don't want to change the note. I feel like this is a good just like interlude type, like introduce the ostinato very quickly. So therefore, I don't want to do the note change yet. We can almost have like a drone, maybe like that bass can do. Right? Have to change that timing there. All right, good. We're getting somewhere. What I like about this step is that I feel like I am introducing elements that I had originally in the piano sketch, the ostinato, that like counterline, the bass line. Oddly enough, what I don't have is that original melody theme that I had. I like that it's expanding, right? We're starting low, cellos, violas, violins, and then ostinatos. I don't know what I want there. I think what I want to do now is pause for a second. I'm going to step away from the piece because once again, I am definitely stuck in that cycle. I like the beginning. I like how it leads. I want to work on that like interlude type section, maybe change it up a little bit. I like that it goes into the main part. I need to somehow adjust something. So I'm going to take a step back, listen to things that inspire me, and then I'll approach this with fresh eyes. All right, so I've had a chance to listen to some other music, mainly some stuff from Chris Bowers, some stuff from Bear McCreary. I think my next step is I really want to make sure I have some sort of structure in place, or at least an idea of how I want the piece to flow. I think that'll help me, especially when I find myself too much in a loop or when I need help like expanding and really diving into ideas. So I have some ideas. Let's figure them out together. One of the things I really wanted to do was add some sparkle woodwinds, especially during this like interlude part, something to like help build and transition to this. And that's a very big moment. I feel like we could make this part even longer. Let's just get you out of the way for now. Let's duplicate you. Let's bring you down. I wonder, I don't even think I need that much of, like, I don't think I need the double. Before I go full on, let me just... Yeah, all right, let's do that. I almost don't know if we need the full 4 bars. I feel like we could just almost have this be timeless. It doesn't have to be the full 4 bars, you know? Because I almost want the violas at that point to come in earlier. And I also want woodwinds. I feel like there's a woodwind sparkle. I don't even know what that means. I almost want there to be like this syncopated, like... something like that. Yeah, all right. Bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Was it like that? Ooh, that could work too. I don't want to lose that. Ah. There we go. That's it. I'm curious. Right, let's... there was another one that I liked that was kind of like here. Yeah, oh, nice. Something was weird here. Yeah, maybe because I didn't actually finish it. Let's cut everything in half, bump you forward to be a full thing. Let's bring you up. Let's see. Let's bump you over here. That way it's a set of 3. Let's bump you up. Something about that feels wrong. One, I actually don't think I need you to come in yet. Maybe you can be down still. Yeah, that way it's... something about it doesn't fit right still. Maybe something feels... Why is it like this? Hello? Because something happened here. Maybe that's... I don't even know if I'm convinced by this being like the main thing. Yeah, okay, so I like that it builds slowly from the bottom up. And I don't even know if we need that. Nice. Okay, that feels a lot cleaner, but still feels messy. So now what I'm doing is once I start getting ideas to see how things can like glue together, now is when I start picking out certain instruments. I'm going beyond the sketch. Let's call you, because I already know I want Tina Guo's cello. And then something about this should continue. That way we hear it into the next part. But I'm not sure what I want to do. That way it leads into it. Something like that. I don't want to start orchestrating yet. I feel like I still need to work some things out before I can like push things along. But what I'm noticing is that now when I want to start adding some life into the music, it's hard because with ensemble tracks, I'm affecting everything. So if I want the cellos to sound a certain way versus the basses, or especially when the violins come in, when I think they're a bit too loud, I'm affecting everything. I could just start splitting out things, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I feel like there's still stuff that needs to be worked out, maybe like another melody, and I don't know how I want to end it. So we'll see. See, that could probably... Yeah, so maybe let's have you stick to... See, there I'm going to have to fade out one, bring in another, which is kind of hard to do. So for now, we'll just kind of keep it in the middle. I feel like this open chord thing could use some sort of like non-chord tone, likely in the violas. I wonder if it makes more sense to have the Chinagua cello do this. Yeah, I don't want to introduce the violins too early. Something like that, right? I feel like that's a bit better than violins. What if I did like an E? I don't want necessarily just a D minor chord. What if we did... Yeah, so maybe instead of we do something like staccatos. That's it. I'm going in. Let's bring you down to trumpets. Let's get rid of you. I almost want the basses to go up. That's a second inversion, though. Now I'm not a fan. What happened to the cellos? Maybe they can do something like that, right? There we go. There we go. Nope. Lost it. Okay. Going back to E was weird. Am I not going to E? Maybe I can suspend. Something like that. Yeah, okay. And then, of course, we all go back to that D, which is Actually, I don't know if I need that because the cellos are doing this, so maybe instead... Honestly, I think those staccatos need to have more aggression to them now. You know what I don't have? I don't have that other melody. The thing that I initially started out with. Something there has to carry over. I feel like I've kind of gone into the somewhat orchestration stage. I'm still not fully there. Like, I'm not fully thinking about orchestration, but like I'm starting to pick up on ideas. Like, where should percussion go? Obviously, I started working with trumpets and low brass. What did we lose? What cut out here? Did we lose a bass or something? I think we did, unless I just did that on purpose. Maybe the cellos can do what they were doing before. I need something doing that. Maybe a cello. Is this an octave too low? I feel like... it's like, that's like blaring. But the trumpets, I could switch. Yeah, they're like overlapping a bit too much. I could have the trumpets not do that at the end. I could have the trumpets almost do this because it's in their lower register over here. This way it gives a little more interest. Because I moved both, that's why. I don't like the sound of the low brass, so I want like... Oh, yeah. Oh, I already had this. There we go. We could do harp. I wonder if I should just... Oops. Something like that. I feel like that's good enough. Maybe bring it down a little bit. Actually, you also kind of helped, right? Right? If I were to mute you, how would that sound without the pre... Like, it works. I kind of like, for mock-up purposes, having like a little extra pre-recorded, so it enhances what I just did. It blends in a little bit. I love the idea of going from like something massive to like small, you know, quiet. I feel like I'm gonna do the thing. Let's start with just basses. Where do we start? All right, that's the basses. Let's go cello. Oh, it sounds so much better already. I'm gonna have to fix the modulation and stuff, but... Get rid of you. Yes! Can the cellos do another ostinato underneath? Ooh, maybe. That was weird. Get rid of you. Get rid of everything down there. We could split violas here. Your violins. Whereas you, I want you to be partial. That's fun. Probably would need like some detailed work there, but I do actually like that, you know? I wanted another ostinato. Something, yeah, what if it was something like that? Something like that. There's something. I guess I'll just do that. I don't know what else I would want to do. Let me copy that. Let me go to cello short. I guess do that. There was something funky here I didn't like. What are you? What are you? There's something so weird and I don't like it. Ah, it's you. There we go. No, I think I love. I love something like that. This is one of those moments where MIDI might not be the best option, so I feel like bounce in place. New track, one file, mute, include audio tail. This way, I see exactly where the hit is. You know what? That might have just been the wrong sound, though. Honestly, maybe I just bump it down a little bit. Timpani, maybe there's some rolls we can do. There we go. I would say not bad. I feel like I got everything I wanted out of this piece, actually. Yeah, I kind of wanted to take a look at how it evolves over time. So we start off with something small, right? Just the strings, low end strings. Eventually we get to the violas. It's still our theme that we kind of recognize. Add something extra. That cello could have kept going, but it's fine. Build on that ostinato. Transition. Trumpet melody. Bigger transition. And right to an ending. Right? Very big dynamic shifts, a very clear structure of growth. All right, so I feel really good about what we came up with. I have some notes that I want to make sure I go over. I think it came out very well. It's by far not perfect. I could easily expand. I would have wanted to focus more on woodwinds. You can always add woodwind runs. And if this was an actual piece of music that I think I wanted to go further with, which I actually might, I do like the idea, then at what point are you coming up with a B theme? At what point do you completely modulate, shift away? I actually really like the way this came out. And now that I was actively like looking back at my process, it is very hard to say a step-by-step process. And I was trying to focus on the video as well as write and like make sure I was being clear about my thought process. But as a whole, I wanted the idea to come naturally and just figure that out. And then once I had the idea, I wanted to recognize the tools that I had available. I started off with ensemble patches because I think that was the best way for me to get 4 chords in a piano into like what an orchestra might sound. I wasn't orchestrating, I was just playing with the texture, playing with the palette of sounds in an orchestra, in the ensemble. This is really where I wanted to build some structure. So in this case, it was a very small, intimate sound that expanded and expanded. We then had that kind of interlude I knew I wanted to include. It didn't just go right into, you know, the main ostinato theme that I came up with. And I knew that this was also something that I wanted to be small, but also cinematic, especially at the end. I think we could literally see when looking at the MIDI data, the shape. We saw everything expand. Like I said, I think there's room for growth. That's something that I could easily explore. And then as we were kind of going through the piece, I think we naturally developed things over time. You kind of saw like when I was starting to feel limited by the stage I was in, I was allowing myself moments to enter the next stage. So for example, when I was working with the ensemble, I found moments where I wanted to start orchestrating, giving things to instruments that I knew I already kind of locked in, especially those strings at the beginning. I found myself limited by wanting to breathe some life into the mock-up itself. Every time I would adjust expression and modulation, it would affect everything. So I knew I had to pass that on to the strings. And once I started splitting things out across the orchestra, again, remember, ensemble patches are great, but they're not the best for realism. I got to hear the detail of each individual section, which I loved, and that almost inspired me again. So throughout different stages, I would get kind of used to what I was hearing, and then I would get re-inspired once I moved on to the next stage. And if I had to reflect on the entire piece as a whole, I am really happy that I switched my original idea to this one. I've been feeling really inspired by like The Wild Robot, Chris Bowers, and this felt kind of like that, but my own take on it. It's a simple idea, simple progression, which is fine. Ideally, if I were to continue this, I would likely move into, maybe bring it back down, bring it back to something smaller, more intimate, not so much so that, you know, the woodwinds and that tubular bells, that was kind of just like an ending. I would actually, I would even like to explore some of the motifs that I created. Maybe I could make them quicker, make them shorter, maybe change it up a little bit, but still make it recognizable as that motif. And then in terms of rhythm, I would remove the ostinato, maybe bring out more lush chords in the strings, maybe include woodwinds. I think that would be a great spot to create some really beautiful colors with woodwinds and strings. You know, this is not perfect. It's not a perfect mock-up either, but it was really satisfying to see an idea be captured, you know, and go from idea to something tangible, something like a real piece of music. Maybe your process is similar to mine, maybe yours is completely different. You need a piano sketch fully to get started, or maybe you're someone that completely jumps in to the orchestration. Either way, I would love for you to let me know. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, happy composing.